contrarian, leave it to contrarian badass Reggie Middleton. He called the housing crash. He called the collapse of Bear Stearns and Lehman Brothers and the crisis in the Eurozone banking system.
Reggie Middleton.
It can be assumed that Bitcoin can be considered a threat to legacy financial players in the status quo. And I know many of you would ask if I think that's the case. Yes, I do, for a variety of reasons, and unnecessarily, because financial historians, let's not be all fancy, people who actually pay attention and look at what happened in the past in an attempt to prevent the mistakes that have been made in the past, will see Bitcoin as an opportunity. But those who have a cash cow deeply ingrained in the status quo will resist change, and will resist change until they are forced to change or driven out of business. That's unfortunate. When you look at the internet, which was explained earlier with the business models of the media companies and why they poo-poo Bitcoin, because basically the more negative stories you have, the more eyeballs you get. You can see where those who resisted the internet, media companies, record companies, record labels, newspapers, radio stations, etc., have been driven either out of business or to the periphery. The Forbes 500 list, or Forbes 400 of the richest people in the world, was rife with those in media. Now there's nobody there, not a single media person or entity there, media mogul, etc. The reason? Because they fought change versus embracing change. The same will happen in the financial industry. Okay, Bitcoin has the largest economic network, the largest network effect, the most hardened system, and it's coming along slowly in terms of development, but steady. Instead, it is poo-pooed by those in the establishment, banks, exchanges, insurance companies, etc. One of the reasons is because a lot of the vendors who are pushing blockchain-based wares to these companies come from the financial sector, and they have a very, very, in my opinion, not necessarily the case, but in my opinion, narrow view of how to approach things. They're basically taking the old business model and trying to wrap the technology around the old business model, which is what the media companies did. I'm almost 50 years old, so I can remember, if you go back to the early internet days when newspapers thought they were embracing the internet, they would take a picture of the front page of their physical paper and they put it on the website, and that's what they would call innovation. Now fast forward, we realize a lot of these entities don't even have a physical paper anymore, and they embrace the technology of the internet wholeheartedly. This is not done with today's blockchain technology. What is being done is they're taking their existing closed networks, like the media companies did, like AOL did, and they're trying to build the technology around a closed network, which does not improve the transactions or the business model at all. What it's trying to do is maintain the old business model versus improving the entire enterprise. AOL tried to maintain the closed network versus embracing the internet and improving the enterprise. They succeeded in short term, lots of revenues, big jump in earnings, and then got crushed once the world realized that you do not need a closed entity, you do not need a closed network. The world is yours for free. The purpose of the IP, Internet Protocol platform, is expansive access. With that, access is what the Bitcoin protocol offers. Access is what the Internet Protocol offered. Access is what drove the margins and the profits of media companies to the ground and through the ground. Access is what will drive the profits and the revenues of financial entities to the and through the ground. They do not thrive on access. Their business model is predicated upon a lack of access, bringing opacity in pricing and bringing lack of access so they can charge you to go through the gate and you don't know where the gate is. Break open the gate wide open, like the Bitcoin protocol and the blockchain does. Create an inability to charge and an inability to create opacity in pricing, create transparency. Banks' profits go down, but the world's productivity goes up. Now, banks don't have to fall, they don't have to crumble. What they need to do is change their business model and add value. Not adding value by consistently creating a door where there's no door there, by adding a value, by creating a lack of increased flexibility in transactions, increased flexibility and transparency. This is a sea change in the way finance is done today. Will banks and exchanges and brokers and insurance companies do it? Absolutely not. Absolutely not, in my opinion. This change will have to be started by small entrepreneurial companies. Now, we have the venture capital community, okay, and they're investing, but apparently the venture capital community does not see things the way I do, and neither does the sell side of Wall Street. Well, I can be wrong and they can be right. Many of them are very successful, but remember, they're successful in the legacy way of doing things. I have a very, very, very strong track record of calling changes and trends in public for the last 10 years. Done it very accurately. I feel stronger on this than I did during the credit and the housing crisis, during the banking crisis, during the European sovereign debt crisis, my call on Deutsche Bank, my call on commercial real estate, residential real estate. This is a killer. And I'm inviting any and all accredited investors who are looking for the contrarian badass, looking for that contrarian view. I will give you more than enough information you need to pull the trigger and make a decision. Contact me, Reggie@veritasium.com, accredited investors worldwide. Okay? We're looking to take our patent pending technology and move it forward. Primarily, we're looking to connect the buy side. All buy side institutions, traders, investors, we will enable them to deal directly with each other and bypass prime brokers, banks, investment banks, etc. We're also looking to take the basic business functions of banks. See, the business function of a bank, the basic function of a bank is to aggregate capital savers in digital wallets and then sell this capital to capital consumers. Capital consumers are entities looking to raise money, such as a company looking to go public or do a bond offering or borrow money, or a family looking to get a mortgage. Capital savers, capital producers, savers are mom and pops and grandmas and aunts who are putting money in savings accounts and checking accounts. So banks aggregate these checking accounts, put them in a digital wallet, and then sell this capital at a much higher markup to capital consumers. We can take blockchain technology and enable capital consumers and capital producers to meet directly without the markup, with a variety of fantastic attributes that go with it. Smart contracts and letters of credit, thinking money, inability to default, cornucopia, a plethora of new products, new value attributes, new value offerings that banks cannot offer. Banks are at a disadvantage because their compensation structure at about 45 to 55% of revenues is stuck. It's stuck via culture. They cannot drop it. So no matter how hard they want to compete, right about 55% of revenues, they're done. We can drop these expenses in the single digits, low double digits. So it doesn't matter if banks want to take losses. Once you get past that 45, 50% of revenue mark, their true inventory, which is their intellectual capital, their traders, their brokers, their analysts, leave because they're used to being, in my opinion, overpaid. Whether they're overpaid or not, 55% of revenue is more than the actual investors make. So when employees make more than the investors, why should investors put money in the bank? Those investors, we're looking to educate them and have them come and invest in our blockchain style organization. Veritasium it is. Again, Reggie@veritasium.com. We should be finalizing our patent applications from 2014, early 2014, this week and next. And we have a few of them, small little mini portfolio. I'm very excited, very, very excited. Anybody who wants to trade, okay, we could trade in Bitcoin through the Bitcoin blockchain. We can now trade in US dollars, dollarize all trades. Any of 35 to 40,000 tickers, come see me, Reggie@veritasium.com. Users, investors, pundits, intellectuals. Peace.